Here's Chad, the lawn doctor, with a tip for your lawn.
The way you water your lawn makes a big difference. Water restrictions and costs have both increased over the years. The Lawn Doctor offers a popular service to help keep your lawn green and healthy while watering less. By adding our HydroGuard service to your lawn care plan, it will help reduce your watering time by up to 1 day a week, saving you both water and money this summer.
Fertilizer, weed, and pest control. Call the Lawn Doctor at 753-LAWN or go to lawndoctor.com.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance, reminding you that when you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
Imagine a generation.
A generation of respect.
Of acceptance. Of diversity.
Special Olympics athletes are leading a revolution of inclusion.
If inclusion is your thing, let us know.
Sign the Inclusion Pledge at jointherevolution.org.
It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. So that makes sense.
Go! Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
Good morning and welcome to the Garden Guide. This is Mark Anderson with Anderson Seed and Garden. And we've got a little change in the weather today, so a little cooler.
It's nice.
Yeah, and they're even talking like 30s on Monday, so we might even have to talk some frost protection today. So
grab a jacket.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I picked up one of those fun summer colds. So if I lose my voice or start coughing, you'll understand why. But
I'm with you.
That's how it goes. Yeah,
I've been playing. Is it a cold? Is it the smoke in the air?
Yeah. Start with the scratchy throat.
Everyone's voice is just kind of trashed right now here.
Yep, started with the scratchy throat. But there is absolutely a lot of stuff going on in the gardens right now. So my garden has gone crazy with weeds. So the weeds are out of control. And then this week, we checked the pumpkins and the squashes, and the squash bugs were out of control. Like
already?
Just covered. Yeah, they were just covered with adult squash bugs. I was trying to figure out where they came from. So we've got insect infestations that are starting up. Aphids are like going nuts still. It's been like a month we've been dealing with high populations of aphids.
Interesting.
And then seen a lot of disease in lawns, and we're starting to see some bill bugs and grubs starting to show up. So it's been kind of an early start to the season on some of those insects.
Is that just because it's been so warm? Is that the main reason?
Yeah, the weather was warm to start off with, and so it kind of started the life cycles of some of those insects. We haven't seen a lot of like grasshoppers. I mean, we've had people coming in that have grasshoppers, but they're not crazy, out of control grasshoppers that we've had years past.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of other insects are plentiful, and so we've got a lot of that going on. So, how's your garden growing, Jason?
It's interesting. Mine just kind of sat sort of stagnant for a good month, and then in the last few weeks, the tomatoes especially.
Yeah,
just decided to wake up.
Just took off.
About 8-9 inches in height,
right.
Just in the last few weeks, and it's looking good.
Awesome.
I think I'm going to be harvesting just after the 4th.
Yeah.
I'm going to have some things to pick off.
All of our peas are pretty much done. So peas came on a little bit early this year.
Yeah.
We're eating kohlrabis right now. They're amazing. My zucchini squashes are just taking off, and I think that we're going to have zucchinis here shortly.
That's amazing.
I would say, again, right after the 4th of July, we'll probably have some zucchinis, if not sooner. So they're coming along. And same boat. My tomatoes were a little slow to get going, and then all of a sudden they just took off like crazy. So
I noticed so I've got a couple of little bee gardens that I've planted around the garden, and same with them. They sort of kind of a slow start and then just explosive over the last few weeks.
Right, yeah.
So
that's just kind of how it works. A lot of customers coming in with scale. So
Really?
we're seeing a lot of scale on trees and shrubs, and it's mostly woolly scale. So the woolly scale is unique because they look like little oysters that have like attached to the tree, to the branches, and then as they mature, they kind of pop open, and there's all this kind of white cottony stuff in there.
Yeah.
And so that scale is prevalent like all over the place. So we've seen tons and tons of samples of that.
Now this will eventually kill an entire branch, right?
Once they attach to the plant, they will pull sap out of the plant. So they'll not cannibalize, but they'll pull that nutrient out of the plant through the sap, and it weakens the branches that they're attached to, and all of a sudden they could shrivel up and die off as well too. So scale can be a big problem, especially when it has completely covered the branch. And when they're in the crawler stage, when they're young, that's the best time to control them. But as adults, there's some really easy ways we can control them as well too. Whether it's a systemic insecticide or whether it's just a mineral oil applied at the right time, it can suffocate those scale and kill them before they start to do any damage to your plant.
I actually picked up at Anderson a neem oil based insecticidal soap.
Right.
You just attach the hose to it.
Uh-huh.
And I just spritzed that through some apple trees, and problem went away and never came back.
Yeah. We're seeing a lot of homeowners and orchards. They don't have a lot of fruit this year, but some actually do. So we have had quite a few people still spraying for codling moth throughout the month of June, and probably would be wise to do another application first part of July as well too. So,
Really?
so we are seeing a lot of other insects though that aren't necessarily affecting the fruit, but are affecting the plants. And scale and aphids are the highest on the list for right now. So we're really seeing a lot of those. And then it has been so dry, and it has been really, really windy. And so it is drying things out very quickly. And so we're really encouraging people to utilize some water holding products like the Hydratane, like the Back to Green, and Easy Wet to try and get the water that you are using to penetrate deeper into the soil and retain it there a lot longer. So that's one of the key ingredients to our hanging basket and our flower bed recipes is that Easy Wet, because it allows the water to penetrate into the soil a lot better. And once we get a rainstorm like we did last night, it'll pull that moisture down into the soil, and so it won't evaporate off when the sun comes out. And so it does make a huge difference. With the Hydratane, we've noticed a 30 to 50% increase in the amount of water that it can absorb and retain and hold. And it makes that much of a difference. So a rainstorm like last night, which wasn't like a really heavy rainstorm, and I know we've got more coming this weekend.
Yeah, spots here and there.
Yeah, we've got more coming this weekend. But it'll take that rain that we are getting from Mother Nature, it'll pull it down in the soil, and it will retain it. It'll hold it a lot longer instead of it just sitting on the surface and evaporating off. So those products make a huge difference.
This stuff is cheap too.
The Easy Wet is like a quart bottle runs around $10.
Yeah.
And it will make
a lot,
like 64 gallons. Yeah, it goes a really long way. So you can water your plants with it. We do it just like once every 2 weeks at Anderson's on our hanging baskets. We do it in our flower beds, and every time we water, which in most cases is daily, and in some cases it's a little bit less than that. It pulls that moisture down in the soil. It helps the soil retain it and keep it a lot longer. And the plants can pick it up and utilize it better. So you're actually using less water to do more work because you're using a soil penetrant or an adjuvant in with the water to get that water to be more effective than it would be. So Easy Wet, very, very inexpensive. The Back to Green, a 50-pound bag will cover 10,000 square feet. So it'll cover a good sized yard. And it's not just for turf. It works for flowers. It works for shrubs. It works for trees. It works for vegetables as well too. So you can utilize it through your landscape, not just on your turf, but it really does help with the turf. So we're seeing a decrease of 30 to 40% on turf watering,
really,
and it still looks great. Yeah.
Now this is actually a good weekend for that weather-wise, right? Because you want to put these out when it's a little cooler and there's going to be a little rain to kind of lock it in.
Yeah, absolutely. So you want to apply it when conditions are drier, which we've had, and then you want to water it in afterwards. So if you can put it on this weekend right before we get some more storms, and then if we don't get a whole lot of rain, then you want to run your sprinklers through a cyclone and get that down into the soil. Once it gets into the soil, it'll bind to the soil, and then it makes the water much more attractive to the soil after that. So it'll pull the water down in, and then once it absorbs it into the soil, it holds it there a lot longer. Yeah.
That is
so.
Now, Anderson's, I've been reading this. You have this whole it broken down by the calendar.
Yes.
Lawn maintenance program.
Right.
This is amazing because you've gone through everything from the fertilizer side, but also grubs and even rodent repellents.
Yes.
Yes. And you've broken it down. Things that you consider staples, must-dos, and then optionals, but when to do them and how to apply them, and you can literally download this.
Yeah. It's on our website.
It's very cool.
And it's in our calendar as well too. So if you have a copy of the calendar, it's on the back page of the calendar. But the lawn program gives you a lot of different options. So if this year you're like, hey, we're going to conserve, we're not going to do as much, but we still want to fertilize our lawn from time to time. The most important fertilizations, I would say, number one would be your winterizer. So in October and even into November, that is like your most critical fertilization, because that's when the grass has been stressed and beat up and damaged through the entire summer. And then we're going to fertilize it right before winter, so it has that nutrient all winter long to recover and to recuperate. So a lot of people will just kind of say, oh, the season's over, it's done, I'm not going to do anything. That's actually your most important fertilization of the year. And then for me, the second most important is right before the heat kicks in. So usually, late May through June is a great time to put some fertilizer out there, because the healthier your grass is, the more capable it is of picking up water and handling the heat of the summer. And so we want to feed that grass, especially with a high potassium fertilizer. So potassium helps facilitate water uptake and spreading that water through the plants as well too. So if your plants are lacking potassium, it's critical that it has the potassium to facilitate all those functions that are happening inside the plant. And so we usually recommend a fertilizer like 23-316 or the Southwest Greenmaker from Fertilome, because they have a high potassium. So they're great to utilize in the summertime, because it makes your water more efficient, and it makes your grass, makes your turf more efficient at picking up the water that you are giving it. So very, very important to do that fertilization that should go on, sometime in June. So that's a really critical time for that. Winterizer would be my next most important, and then probably either your very first application, early spring, March or early April, or September. Coming out of the summer, August, September. Usually we recommend around Labor Day. So we try and get people to remember when to fertilize their lawn by the holidays, because
that works for me.
You remember when the holidays are, but you don't necessarily remember the 20th of March. You're supposed to do it the 20th of March. That's harder to remember. But if we go, St. Patrick's Day to Easter, then people go, oh yeah, it's like that's a recognizable time of year. If we say between Mother's Day and Memorial Day, then that's a very recognizable time of year. 4th of July to 24th of July, also a really great time. Labor Day, and then we're for a winterizer, we recommend between Halloween and Thanksgiving.
That is
a really good time to do it.
And you've talked about this before on the show, but I always want to highlight this for people. This 5-step program you have here. So this is obviously meant to be, for the health of the lawn and for your gardens and all of that. But you don't rake. You don't rake your lawn because you do this instead.
Yeah, we do this instead.
And I think a lot of people would go, oh, Okay.
It's so much work to rake the lawn. And so we just do 2 applications of humic throughout the season. And the humic is a naturally occurring material. It's mined out of the ground. It is full of minerals and microorganisms and microbes and micronutrients and carbon and humic and fulvic acids. It's got all these building blocks of life in there. And when you apply it to your turf, it speeds up the decomposition of all that dead material that's out there. So it helps break down thatch and dead grass clippings, and it converts that into soil. And it converts it into free nutrient that the plants can pick up and utilize. So when you're using a humate type product, and the one that we carry is called humic, it will actually take some of the nutrient that's out there that your grass can't utilize because it's tied up in organic matter, and it frees that up and it makes it available to your plant. So it acts like a fertilizer, even though it really doesn't have any of the major nutrients in there. But it's really good to remineralize your soil, to put minerals back in, to put micronutrients, and to put beneficial microbes and microorganisms back into the soil. So I will do my garden at least once a year to put minerals and microbes back into the soil.
Really?
Yeah. So over time, as you cultivate your garden and as you grow stuff in there, those plants are consistently picking up minerals and nutrients out of the soil. And over time, they're going to deplete that soil of all the available nutrients. And so you have to supplement it. And so the humate is great to supplement with because it starts with that base of minerals and micros, and then whatever organic matter that you put in there, it will decompose that, and then the nutrient that's in that material, it frees that up for the plants as well too. So using humic in your vegetable garden helps immensely. Yeah, this is like an amazing way to build your soil back up. And we do it in the fall when we're adding, composts, and when we're adding leaves and grass clippings and various things, because it speeds up that decomposition of all that stuff. So last year when I put my leaves and my grass clippings out there, I put some straw as well too, because my garden's huge. It's like 8,000 square feet. So it's hard to come up with enough leaves and grass clippings to cover 8,000 square feet. So I'll get some straw, and the straw works great. And as we till it in, there's enough winter wheat in there that it starts to come up and it starts to grow. And so we have all this winter wheat growing out there in the garden during the winter time. And then in the spring, I'll just till it up, and it just incorporates all that green matter back into the soil as well too. So over time, it consistently builds the soil back up. And
that also means less water for the garden as well.
The more organic matter there is in your soil, the more the soil has the ability to absorb and hold moisture. And so there were times this spring where it didn't rain for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I would go out there and I would turn the soil over, and there would still be moisture in the soil. It's dry. It was dry on the surface. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was dry on the surface, but you go down 2 or 3 inches and there was still soil moisture. Like the soil was a darker brown because of the moisture content that's in there. So that's because of the organic matter that we've been adding year after year after year into the garden. That's because of using products like the Hydrotain and the Easy Wet. I mean, it does change the chemistry and the polarity of the soil, so it absorbs and holds that moisture a lot better than it would just by itself. And so it does make a big difference.
I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned from you is sort of the long-term planning. With planting certain types of. I've fallen in love with the winter crop thing. Which I've learned from you, and my garden this year is finally come together. Yeah. And I have to say, I've done less in my garden other than sit and enjoy it. Yeah. I have a little chair and a table and an umbrella near the garden, and I sit there and watch things grow whenever I have some free time on the weekends. And but as far as getting out there and having to work and sweat and I've done a lot less of that this year.
Right.
I tilled, I planted, and then I've just kept things moist.
I love that you have a spot out there to hang out by your garden. And so
it's so peaceful.
I read an article this week, and I thought it was fascinating because when I teach gardening classes, I teach people what plants need. And as we go through that, and we talk about the nutrient and the light and the water and the soil and all the things that the plants need, I get them to realize that the biology of the plants really isn't that different from biology of people.
Makes sense.
The biology is very, very similar, and the nutrients work similarly in the plants that they do in our bodies as well too. So if you're lacking potassium, your body functions stop working correctly.
Sure.
And so same thing with the plants. I mean, we just talked about potassium with the plants. I mean, it facilitates water uptake and spreading that water and other nutrients through the plant and cell structure. And I mean, it facilitates a lot of things that are happening in the plants, but it does the same thing in our bodies. I read this article, and it talked about how people are almost afraid to go out in the sun now because dermatologists have talked for so long. It's like, sun exposure, and you're more likely to get cancer, and, to be careful out in the sun. And there's a portion of our population that are just like, okay, I'm not going to go outside because, I've got fair skin and I really don't want to get any sunlight. And if you think about that plant physiology, the plants need sunlight.
Sure.
And they don't perform well if they don't get sunlight. Well, how is our body going to react to that?
Yeah, too little vitamin D.
You're not getting enough sunlight, and there's just something about getting up in the morning and going outside and being in the sun. I mean, not when it's 100 degrees outside, but when it's like cool and getting that sunlight. I think it is critical for our bodies and for our plants that we are exposed to that sunlight. Make sure and wear your sunscreen.
Sure.
But being outside is critical for us as well as for our plants. And so those correlations between the plants are really, really interesting. That's kind of like an aha moment that I had this week as I was reading. It's like that makes so much sense. Makes so much sense. But we've got time for phone calls today. So
yes.
what's our phone number, Jason?
753-5868 if you'd like to ask Mark a question here on the Garden Guide. And it is as you mentioned, you're getting a little nice cooler weather today, so maybe a chance to pause a little bit and think about your garden and your lawn and things like that. But this is we've been stepped up. Everything feels a month ahead this year.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're probably going to see that means a month extra growing season.
Yeah.
And
could be a longer season.
So do you plan differently if the growing season is going to be a month longer?
We planted our early crops earlier because we were able to. I mean, we didn't have snow on the ground the 1st of March, so we were able to get some of our early crops in a little bit earlier. And then the soil was a little bit warmer, so our peas jumped up and just took off like crazy. And so they have produced, but they've only produced like 2 weeks earlier than normal. So it's not quite a month. I'm feeling like it's 2 weeks. Our trees bloomed about 2 weeks early. Vegetables are coming on about 2 weeks early. So it has definitely accelerated our timeline on a lot of things this year. But it'll be interesting to see what our fall weather provides, because we could have a little bit extended fall as well too, and
as warm as it's been,
and see what happens. Yeah, but hopefully we'll continue to get like rainstorms throughout the summer, and that really helps. We get a couple of rainstorms. It's crazy how quickly the plants jump when we get some rain. They love that natural rain that falls from the sky, and there's some nutrient in there. There's some nitrogen in there, especially if we're having thunder showers. The lightning fixes nitrogen in the atmosphere, and then it drops. With the rain will pick it up and bring it down. And so the plants actually respond really, really well to Mother Nature's watering.
It's been
even better than ours. So
I'm so optimistic that I went out this morning before coming here with the rain. I went out and stuck 2 zucchini seeds into the hills next to the zucchinis that are already about 2 feet tall.
That's actually not a bad idea, because the zucchinis, once they really start producing like crazy, they kind of hit their max and stop producing after a month or 6 weeks or so. And so having some new plants coming along a little bit later than the other ones, it's actually not a bad idea to keep your production going throughout the summertime. And I know some people are just like, 1 zucchini plant is absolutely plenty. I don't need any more. But it is really nice to have those zucchinis coming on later in the summer and into the fall, when some of the more mature plants have kind of like maxed out. It's like they're done producing. And so it's really not a bad idea. And from seed, it only takes 45 days for them to produce. So
fast growers.
It's a really fast producer. So if you planted this week, you could plan on 1st of August. They're going to be really close to producing, and they'll produce for 6 more weeks, maybe 8. So it'll actually get you through all of September with a nice new zucchini plant instead of old tired one.
Very nice.
Yeah, so not a bad idea, Jason.
All right. We do have a caller on the line. We have a quick break to get to. So, Barbara, sit tight. You are first up right after this short break here on The Garden Guide.
I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU local headlines. A 48-year-old domestic violence suspect died Friday morning following a vehicle pursuit and an officer-involved shooting in southwest Logan, according to authorities. Logan City Police Lieutenant Brett Randall said that a Cache County Sheriff's deputy had attempted a traffic stop at around 9 a.m. on Roger Dean Campbell near 1500 West, 600 South. Now, deputies were investigating allegations that Campbell had violated a pretrial protective order from a prior domestic violence arrest. Now, Campbell allegedly fled in his vehicle into a nearby neighborhood. Now, during the ensuing confrontation, a deputy fired shots. Campbell then crashed his vehicle into a tree and was pronounced dead at the scene, despite immediate life-saving efforts by deputies and paramedics. Now, investigators are uncertain if Campbell died from the gunfire or the crash. The Utah State Medical Examiner's Office will determine the cause of death. Now, the Northern Utah Critical Incident Team is investigating as the deputy involved has been placed on administrative leave. Turning to other news that we're following this hour, a 12-year-old child was hospitalized Friday after being injured during an encounter with a bison at Yellowstone National Park. Now, the incident took place near the Mud Volcano area that's located just north of Fishing Bridge. Now, National Park Service officials stated that it remains unclear what provoked the animal. Now, paramedics transported the child to a nearby hospital for treatment of sustained injuries. Now, following the encounter, park rangers issued a stark reminder that wildlife can behave aggressively when their space is invaded. Visitors are legally required to maintain a distance of at least 25 yards from large animals like bison, elk, and coyotes, and 100 yards from bears and wolves. Well, we're going to continue to see this chance of showers and colder temperatures through the rest of the weekend, as highs eventually will get back into the 80s next week as we'll start to see more sunshine. Will Feelwright for KVNU News.
I'm Jim Baskel. Let's start it with baseball and change in Queens. Carlos Mendoza fired as manager of the Mets, replaced by interim Andy Green. New York came into play Friday, riding a 6-game slide, 9.5 games back of the NL's last wild card. With Mendoza no longer in the dugout, the bad vibes in Flushing continued.
Swung on, blasted. High and deep, right center field on its way. Hill is at the wall. He jumps. Oh, and he caught it. He caught it. He went up over the wall, and he took back the homer from Juan Soto. One of the great running catches at the wall you will ever see.
He is right about that. You got to check it out. Sports Radio 94 WIP. Derek Hill robbing Juan Soto of a 2-run shot. And helped the Phils beat the Mets 2-1. Trey Turner drove him in with the tie-breaking single in the 7th inning, spoiling Green's New York dugout debut and handing the Mets their 7th straight loss. Peyton Tolley took a perfect game at the 6th, gave up only 1 hit over 7 scoreless. Wilson Contreras, a home run over the monster. And out of Fenway Park, Boston beating New York 6-1. Both dugouts and bullpens emptied after things got testy with Contreras on an inside pitch. Tristan Peters, grand slam, 6 knocked in. Chicago, a 10-run third. White Sox rout the Royals 22-1. Jacob Mizorowski threw a 105.5-mile-an-hour pitch. Third fastest since tracking began in 2008. Came in the Brewers' 6-2 win over the Cubs. Padres beat the Dodgers 7-1. That's their 4th consecutive win. Meantime, from the NHL, Maple Leafs selecting Penn State's Gavin McKenna with the 1st overall pick. The Sharks got Ivar Stenberg 2nd overall. Defenseman Keaton Vierhoff at 9th and traded up to 21 to get fellow blue liner Ryan Lynn. And Cape Verde completed an improbable run at the World Cup, earning a spot in the knockout stage, courtesy of yet another draw.
Get your cooling fixed, call Gary Riggs. Get your AC fixed, call Gary Riggs. If you're having cooling problems, we're here to get them fixed. Just pick up the phone and call Gary Riggs. 435-512-6633. We'll come to you. Our service fee is low, just $25. We repair all brands and have certified installers. Get your cooling fixed, call Gary Ricks. Get your AC fixed, call Gary Ricks.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
From gardening to landscaping, The Garden Guide with Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
All right, we are back from our short break here on The Garden Guide. Mark Anderson with Jason Williams, and we are taking your calls. You're welcome to call in with questions or comments, 753-5868. And we have been talking lawns, we've been talking water, we've been talking planting new plants, all kinds of good things. And we do have a caller on the line. You said Barbara was on there.
That's right, Barbara waiting through the break there.
Good morning, Barbara.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome. Thanks for being patient until we got back from the break. So,
yeah. I just have a quick question for Mark. When you buy potting soil at the store, you buy the potting soil,
right?
And it has the fertilizer in it, and it says it feeds up to 6 months.
Yes.
Do you have to add more fertilizer to it?
We usually recommend that you do, because even though it says it's a 6-month fertilizer, it really depends on how much you have to water it, how long that fertilizer sticks around. So that water is kind of dependent on, that soil is dependent on how much water it receives. And so if you're watering daily, it will break that fertilizer down quicker. And some of it could leach out the bottom of your pots. And so we use a soil with a fertilizer charge in it, and then we add a liquid fertilizer throughout the season to supplement that. I don't like when my plants get really hungry. They don't perform very well. It's kind of like me. If I get really hungry and I'm not eating, then I don't have as much energy and I don't perform very well. Plants the same way. And so we feed our plants twice a week with a liquid fertilizer in planters and hanging baskets, and also in our flower beds, to really boost that soil nutrient as well, because you will lose some over time and with water.
Okay, great. The second question I have for you is the mold stuff, that powdery mold stuff?
Yeah, powdery mildew.
How do you get rid of it off of a zucchini plant?
Zucchinis and squashes and melons and pumpkins are very susceptible to powdery mildew or downy mildew. And it happens when we get higher humidity. So when we have storms like this that roll through, and we get some moisture, and we've had a couple of storms the last couple of weeks that have come through, that humidity level, when it comes up, we get warm days and cold nights, and it's a perfect environment for mildews to take off. And so we've seen a lot of powdery mildew showing up on plants, on turf, on trees, kind of all over the place. And so what we are recommending is in your vegetable garden, there's some very safe, very effective organic methods for controlling powdery mildew. One of my favorites is Fungicide 5 from Fertilome, and I also like their Copper Soap product. And both of those you can use right up to the minute you're going to harvest your fruits. And so if you use it on your zucchini and you go, I was going to eat the zucchinis tonight, all you have to do is harvest the zucchinis, rinse them off, which you should do anyway, and then go ahead and eat them, and it will be just fine. So the Fungicide 5 is non-toxic to people, but very, very effective on a wide range of diseases. So I use that quite regularly in my garden to prevent mildews, to prevent leaf spots. I use it on my tomatoes for a wide variety of diseases that affect my tomatoes and my potatoes. And so the Fungicide 5 would probably be my first choice. That'd do great. And it works on trees and shrubs as well, too.
Okay, great.
All right.
I have one last question.
You got it, Barbara.
I have a bunch of strawberries.
Okay.
My strawberry plants are absolutely gorgeous. Big leaves, the whole bit. They have the blooms, but then when they start to develop the fruit, they don't.
Interesting. What fertilizer are you using on the strawberries?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm really using a fertilizer as such.
Okay. Also, do you know what variety it is? Is it a June-bearing strawberry, or is it a ever-bearing? Does it produce into the fall normally?
Mark, I don't know.
Okay.
It all of a sudden showed up in my boxes.
Gotcha.
And I can't give it away. I gave away all the plants. I mean, all of the plants, I gave them away.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, they're back again.
Yes. If you leave a little bit of root system there, they'll just kind of come back again and again because they spread by root system. So I would probably recommend, not knowing what variety it is, that is a little tricky because there are some that are a little bit more ornamental and they don't really produce a lot of fruit. And so there's a possibility that it is an ornamental strawberry. But if it's a fruiting strawberry, we'd want to use a fertilizer that's got more micronutrients and more phosphorus and potassium in there. So there's a locally made product. It's called Pro Bloom, and it's made by Monterey. And they used to manufacture it right here in Logan. And that's one you can mix up in water and water your plants with it. It's really, really good for flowering plants. So you can use it on your hanging baskets. You can use it on your flowers, on your planters. But it's really good for fruiting plants as well, too. And it would be amazing for your strawberries if you want to give them that like once every couple of weeks just to kind of boost more flower production and hopefully some fruit production as well.
Well, this has lots of flowers. I mean, beautiful flowers all over it. But then when it starts bloom or going down to the fruit, it starts the fruit.
You get little teeny fruits, but then they don't develop. Yeah. See, that's why I'm wondering. That's why I'm wondering if it's maybe an ornamental strawberry and not a fruit-producing strawberry. Since you didn't plant it. It looks like a regular strawberry. It has beautiful flowers on it. Some of them even produce like pink flowers, like the alpine strawberries do. But there's a possibility that this might not be a fruit producer for you.
Okay. All right. Well, you've answered all my questions this morning. I thank you so
Wonderful.
much.
Thanks for calling this morning, Barbara. You have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Right behind Barbara, we have Lyle actually calling from Clifton, Idaho.
All right. Good morning, Lyle.
Hello, Mark. I have two questions, and the best to use, you've been talking about Back2Green this morning. What's best, that or Humate on your lawn to preserve water?
They are very different, and they both will help with water. So the Humate is more of, it's full of carbon, it's full of humic acid, fulvic acid, it's got minerals, it's got micronutrients. It kind of naturally conditions the soil so that it will accept and hold the moisture better. Where the Back2Green has a high potassium in there that once it gets into the soil, it actually helps pull water down into the soil and then helps the soil retain it longer. That lasts for probably 60 days, maybe up to 90 days. And the Humate will last probably even a little bit longer. We'll usually get 4 months out of the application of the Humate. So I actually use both because they both kind of do different things. And the combination of the two makes it even more efficient with water, keeps your lawn green longer, frees that nutrient up, breaks down your thatch and dead grass clippings. And one of the issues that a lot of our customers and our homeowners have is if you have a high thatch layer, then the thatch kind of prevents the water from penetrating down into your soil, and so you'll lose a lot to evaporation. So Humate really helps with that by breaking the thatch down and allowing the water to get down into the soil, and then it helps hold that moisture longer. So a combination of the two. If we were to only use one, if you were like really struggling, you didn't want to put a lot of water on your lawn this year where it is dry, we're trying to conserve, I'd probably go with the Back to Green or the Hydrotain, because they will be more effective at making your water go farther.
Okay, now another question is, you've mentioned these sprays in the past for Morning Glory.
Yeah.
Is Desinect or Weed Free Zone the best to kill Morning Glory?
Okay, so the Decimate kills grasses and weeds, so that's one that I would not use on my lawn, but it's great to use very, very strategically in around other plants that you don't want to damage, because it'll only kill what you spray it on. So I will use that in my vegetable garden where I've got some puncture vine, some of the goat heads that have gotten in there, but I don't want to kill like my carrots or my tomatoes. So I can be really careful and spray that and selectively kill the plants that I spray it on. It's very effective on the Morning Glory. But in your lawn, the Weed Free Zone is probably your best way to go. Cooler temperatures, it works amazing. We don't recommend you spray it when it gets above 90, so it has been too hot for it. But right now, with the cooler temperatures, you could actually squeeze a spray in where we're going to be cool for the next 3 days. And so that is a possibility, and it is outstanding for Morning Glory. It works better than anything I've ever used.
Okay, so Weed Free Zone on the lawn and the Decimate in the garden.
In the garden or flower beds or landscape. You got it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Appreciate that information, Mark.
Super.
Appreciate your show.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for calling, Lyle.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And right behind Lyle, we have Christine on the line with a question for you as well.
Super. Good morning, Christine.
How are you?
Doing well. Thank you. Go ahead.
Christine, are you able to hear us?
Just a minute. Alexa, pause. Sorry.
No worries. Had two conversations going on at the same time, huh?
I got to get rid of Alexa, or I'm thrown off. I'm going, wait a minute. Yes, I have little tiny ants in my house. How do I get rid of them?
Okay, we're seeing a lot of ants, and they are out scavenging right now. And so there's probably some goodies that they found in your house and left a little trail of crumbs, breadcrumbs for somebody else to come and find it as well.
All their friends.
Yep, all their friends want to come. And so there are some very nice barriers that you can put outside of your home that will kill them before they come into the home. In fact, they're very attractive to the ants, and so they'll take that instead of deciding to come into your house to find other goodies. So ant block is really good. High Yield makes a really great ant killer granule. It's very effective. You could broadcast that in a 2-foot wide band, all the way around your house. And if they're coming from outside going into your house, they'll be attracted to that and take that back to the nest and kill the nest out. In fact, it's usually best if you can find the nest where they're coming from and try and take care of that nest, because they'll just keep reproducing and producing more and more and more ants. If you want something safe to use indoors, probably the Kilobug 2 from High Yield. The active ingredient in there is called deltamethrin. Very, very low toxicity for people and for pets. Very safe to use indoors. It doesn't smell. It doesn't stain. It's super effective. It lasts 3 to 4 months. It really does a great job. Comes in a ready-to-use format, and you can just spray that in strategic locations. Maybe underneath the sink, behind the garbage can, in the pantry, on the baseboards, wherever you think they might be coming from. And that will give you a nice invisible barrier to control ants. But it'll work on spiders and earwigs and box elder bugs and a lot of other insects as well too. And then probably my favorite go-to is a product called Seismic. Seismic is super effective on all those insects, but it's really good for aggressive house spiders, hobo spiders, has a microencapsulation process in it, and so it will last even longer. And in many cases, we'll get 4 to 6 months out of an application, and it's invisible and it doesn't smell, and it's very, very, very low toxicity for people. So really great product to use indoors as well as out. So that should give you a couple different options, Christine.
You've given me a lot. I guess I'm going to have to come into the store and you can show me.
We will show you all of those options and try and determine which one's going to be the most effective for you.
Okay, so on my raspberries, I think I have that borer thingamabobber.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure.
Raspberry cane borer?
Yeah, so to spray it with 7 or something?
You can do the 7, and the 7 we try and do it usually about 2 weeks before they're going to bloom. And then you can do that after they're done blooming, even after the fruit has set, and that's not a problem. With raspberries, you can spray it like right up to the day before harvest. And so it's got a really short time limitation, and it will kill the adults and it will kill the larvae before they get into the canes. Once they're inside the canes, then the 7 won't work on them anymore because they're inside the plant. And so that's why we recommend the systemic drench in May to try and prevent that from happening, because that'll kill the larvae if they're inside the canes already. Otherwise, you want to just like cut the top 8 to 12 inches off the canes where the canes are kind of curling over. You can actually take a knife and kind of cut down the side of the cane and peel it open. You can find the little white grubs inside there, which are the larvae of the raspberry cane borer, and they're the ones that are doing the damage. So you can actually identify those, and then we'll usually either burn them or destroy them somehow so they don't hatch out and become adults and lay more eggs.
Sounds like I got my work cut out for me.
You've got work to do. Yeah, it's going to be a nice cool day today, so good day to be outside for sure.
Okay. Well, I'll have to come in the store and get some things then.
Please do.
Thank you.
That sounds great. Hey, thanks for calling this morning, Christine.
Yeah, have a great weekend.
All right, you too.
Hey, bye.
That frees up a phone line, 753-5868. We've got probably about 10 minutes left in the show. We could probably take a few more calls, answer a few more questions.
These are that cane borer. It's difficult to get rid of once you have it.
And for some reason they have like perfect radar, so they will go back year after year.
Really?
Even though it's like a different generation of insects, they know right where to go to find them. I'd say the one thing we kind of talked about at the top of the show was turf issues that we're seeing, and that's grubs, billbugs, and diseases. And I definitely want to get that in on the show if possible, because we're starting to see grub damage. And so up to this point, what we've had people do is try and identify which problem has happened in their turf, if they're seeing yellow spots or patches that are just not looking good like the rest of the turf. The best way to do that is to take a pocket knife, and I'll tell them to go to the best looking spot in their yard first, where the grass looks really good, and that's usually in a shady location, and then cut a 10 by 10 inch square out of the turf and pull up on it. And when you do that, you will get a good idea of what the soil should be like, what the soil conditions are, how deep the root system is, how well that piece of turf is attached. And as you pull that up, you can see how deep the root system goes and how firmly attached it is. But you can also see how moist the soil is in that area. And then think about, okay, I watered yesterday and the soil here is still moist. I can find the moisture there. It's still damp. And put that piece back. And then go to the spots where your turf isn't looking as good and is struggling, and do the same thing and cut that 10 by 10 inch square out. And the best way to identify what's going on is to pull up on that sample and look at the soil. And if the soil is equally moist, then we know it's not water. But if that soil is really, really dry compared to the other spot, you've instantly recognized that either your sprinklers aren't hitting that spot, or the soil's hard and the water's not penetrating down in. I mean, there's some different things we can do, but if the moisture content is different in that location than the first one that you checked, then it most likely is water. There's something going on there. Either your sprinklers aren't working, maybe they're hitting the sidewalk or the driveway instead of that spot. It's time to check your sprinklers, make sure they're working right. But if the soil is equally moist, And when you grab it and you pull up on it and it tears out really, really easily. And, if you think back at that first sample, it didn't want to tear out. It's like really well rooted. You have to like physically, yank it out of the soil. But if you grab it and it just tears out really easily, that's where you can start kind of digging a little bit. And you can find either grubs or bill bugs in that top inch, even down to 2 or 3 inches, and they're nibbling on the root system. When they eat the root system and you grab that piece and it just tears out really easy, it's almost like a piece of carpet. And it just pulls out super, super easy. And when that happens and you've had insects, then we've got to treat for insects. And you can do an insecticide. Bug Blaster Plus above and below is probably our go-to because it's got a contact as well as a systemic insecticide in there. Very, very effective at controlling grubs and bill bugs and sod webworms. And now's a good time to put that on preventatively as well as curatively. Then we recommend another application end of July, first part of August. That'll get you all the way into October without insect problems. But that will control the insects that are there. And then we recommend that you overseed, get some new grass in there to get that grass to recover quicker, because where they've cut the root system off, you may have some dead grass there for a couple months, and it is faster to put some new grass in there and get some new grass coming up to replace the grass that's been damaged than it is to wait for that grass to recover. In some cases, it might never recover, so it's time to put some new grass back in there. But if the soil is moist all the way through and the root system is intact and it's hard to pull that sample out and you just can't get it to pull out really easily, you've eliminated insects, you've eliminated the possibility of water, and whatever's left is lawn disease. And so lawn disease damage looks very similar to what the damage looks like when it's not getting enough water. Looks the same as when it's being damaged by insects and by disease. The damage looks very similar. It's hard to identify unless you know exactly what you're looking for. So to diagnose for disease, we have to eliminate everything else. So if we've eliminated it's not water, we've eliminated it's not insects, then whatever's left, it has to be a disease. And we've seen a lot of turf disease this year because of the up and down weather that we've had. Where the weather was like really nice in March, then it got really cold and wet, then it was like really warm, and then it's just this up and down weather. We see a lot more diseases, and so we've seen a lot of summer patch, we've seen dollar spot, we've seen a bunch of different diseases, and there's some really good disease control to get that to get that cured and to get your grass to recover faster. And so we'll recommend either the F-Stop from Fertilome, which comes liquid or granule, or the Disease X from Scott's is really good as well too. So we've got some different products to help with turf diseases. And up to this point, we've seen more turf diseases than we have seen insects.
Really?
But now we're starting to see insects. This is the time of year where the insects really start to do some damage. So keep an eye out for that. But that's exactly how I would walk you through the process if you were trying to do your own diagnosis on that. Yeah.
We had Emma on the line. Emma preferred to ask her question and listen to the answer off air. She said she has been using coffee grounds to control grubs in her flower gardens near her house.
Okay.
And she says it's working, but they still come back every year. Do you have a better recommendation than coffee grounds?
Yeah, I'm not. It may be coincidental because the coffee grounds, as far as I know, don't like repel the grubs or anything.
Okay.
There's depends on what kind of grubs they are, because there's so many different insects that have larvae that damage the root system of plants. So if it's like a lilac or it is a rose or a peony, there's strawberry root weevils that the larvae will do damage to the plants. There's other types of grubs as well too. Usually there's a lot of different insecticides that work, some that are natural, some that are synthetic, that will give you some soil residual activity for quite some time. So the ant killer granules, there's an active ingredient in there for the ants. It's called bifenthrin. The bifenthrin is really, really effective on a lot of these soil-borne insects. And there's a new version of that that's out that's called Lambda, and the Lambda is really, really effective as well too. So the Bug Blaster Plus that we use on the lawns for grubs and bill bugs and sod webworms, it's actually super effective if we're doing it in a landscape situation.
Really?
So if you're doing for trees or shrubs or flowers, that would be very, very effective, but you can't use it in a vegetable garden because it has a systemic insecticide in there. So I wouldn't recommend that for vegetables, but great for all kinds of landscape and ornamental applications. So that would be very, very effective. In your vegetable garden, I would probably go with.
Whoops.
Sorry. Yeah, no, it's okay. No, it's okay.
Too loud.
I would go with. There's a couple different ones. Vegetable and ornamental insect control granules. It's a mouthful, but that's made for vegetables. Yeah, it's very, very effective. And it'll give you probably 2 months control. And so you may have them come back again a little bit later. There's nothing like permanent. There's actually some nematodes you can use that will control grubs, but it's a specific kind of grub. So I'm not sure how well that would work until we could identify what kind of grubs that she's got.
So basically hard to permanently get rid of them in general.
Unfortunately, because those insects just keep coming back.
Yeah. They're
Dang it.
persistent.
Good luck, Emma. Yeah, good luck. So looks like we're at the end of the show.
That's right.
So, Jason, thanks so much for your help on the show today.
Oh, always a pleasure.
It's always a great time to have you on the show. A lot of things happening at Anderson Seed and Garden this weekend. So we've got some great specials. We're starting to clear the greenhouses out. So if you're looking for some good deals on some plants, we've got that happening at Anderson's this weekend. And we're helping people with bugs and diseases and turf and vegetables and all kinds of different things. So great time to come down and see us at Anderson's this weekend.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Thanks to our listeners.
KVNU 610 AM and